with this, now that we have two pieces of the function, x and y, with being asked for a derivative, there's now three first derivatives you could be asked for. Take the derivative of x with respect to t, take the derivative of y with respect to t, or later on, take the derivative of y with respect to x, dy dx. So in here, where does dx dt equals 0? So simply take x is equal to sine of t. So the derivative of x with respect to t will be cosine of t. Set that equal to 0. So this simply says, think about the cosine graph. And where it's equal to 0 is going to be right here and right here. Well, with pi in the middle, then this one is going to be t equals pi over 2, and this one is going to be t equals 3 pi over 2. So there's where dx dt equals 0. So this means how fast is the x changing with respect to time? So x means left and right. So that means as this thing goes around this graph, whatever the shape is, when is the left or right movement with respect to time? When is that equal to 0? So let's take a look at the graph and see if this makes sense. Pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So we need to change it back to parametric. Okay, so it's going to be sine of t, it's going to be sine of t for x and cosine squared of 2t. Since this is trig, we should have this going from 0 to 2 pi. Sine and cosine stay between -1 and +1, so that's what the x's and the y's should be. And then take a look at the graph. It's sort of a W. So let's see. Trace, and we had pi over 2. Pi over 2. That's at the top. So right here, it had moved to the right, it then had to stop, and then it went back to the left. So right here at pi over 2, the left and right velocity became 0 when it got up here. So let's draw it once again, but more slowly, and watch. It's going to go over to the right. At the top it stops, now it goes back over to the left, and then that should be 3 pi over 2. Let's see, trace 3 pi over 2. So can you see it? It's blinking up there in the upper left. So this is when it came over here, went up here, it went to the far left corner. It couldn't go left anymore, so it had to stop and then go back to the right. So, tricky one. It doesn't say when. It says where. So this is the when it happens. The question was really saying where. So the where is this point, the one in the upper left-hand corner, and when you do pi divided by 2, the one in the right-hand corner is 1, 1. So then the actual point is going to be at 1, 1, and on the upper left-hand corner, -1, 1. All right, that's the x information. Now for the y. So taking a look at the graph, the y is the up and down information. So this says, when is the y velocity, or the up and down velocity, equal to 0? That should be right there. When it gets to the top, it can't go up anymore. It has to stop and then go down. And then at these 2 points, it's going to be at the bottom. It's going to have to stop and then go back up. So we should have 3 answers. Oh, you know what? This too is a time when it gets to the top and then has to go back down. Wow, there's going to be 5 answers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the derivative, so y is equal to cosine squared of 2t. The derivative of that, dy dt, will be 2. Leave cosine of 2t alone. Then the chain rule says take derivative of cosine, so that's going to be negative sine of 2t. And then the chain rule says take derivative of 2t is another 2. So then set that equal to 0. When you do, it's going to be this set equal to 0 and this set equal to 0. So cosine of 2t equals 0. And when does sine of 2t equal 0? Of course, you would have a negative, but you could multiply both sides by negative and it disappears. So then this one is the cosine graph again. The only thing is, this one we got 2 answers. Since this has 2t, we should get 4 answers. So follow cosine out for 2 cycles. And then where is it equal to 0? So we've got pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, 7 pi over 2. And those are all for 2t equals pi over 2, 2t equals 3 pi over 2, 2t equals the next odd number, 5 pi over 2, and then 2t equals 7 pi over 2. After that, divide by 2. So then it's going to be t equals pi over 4, t equals 3 pi over 4, t equals 5 pi over 4, and t equals 7 pi over 4. Let's test those out. So we're looking for the top, the bottom, the top, the bottom, the top. Pi divided by 4, is that one of them? That's one of them right there. So that's going to be give us the point 0.707 comma 0. Then 3 pi divided by 4. That's repeat information. So we don't need that one. 5 pi over 4. That's that bottom part over there. So negative 0.707. What about this 7 pi over 4? 7 pi over 4. That's repeat information. So what happened is it came down this way. This must be 5 pi over 4. It goes up and it comes back down by 7 pi over 4. So those are repeats. So we got the 2 bottom parts. We still have this to work with. So when does sine equal 0? And again, because of the 2t, we'll have twice as many answers as usual. So follow sine out for 1, 2 cycles. And then where that equals 0 is going to be the multiples of pi. So we would have 0 and pi and 2 pi and 3 pi and 4 pi. And then all of those are equal to 2t. So we'd have 2t equals 0, 2t equals pi, 2t equals 2 pi, 2t equals 3 pi. And then I don't really have to do the 4 pi because that is the same information as that. So we get t equals 0 on the first one, t equals pi over 2, t is equal to a pi, and t is equal to 3 pi gets divided by 2. And then we should finally get the top, and the top from these. So 0, it starts at the top in the middle, so that's at 0, so this one is 0, 1. Pi over 2, if it follows this pattern, it's going to be repeat information. Oh, it's not. It's over here in the upper right-hand corner. 1, 1. Pi. Okay, that's when it went over, then came back to here. So that's not needed. And then 3 pi divided by 2 is the upper left-hand corner, -1, 1.